All right, Rocky, I'm looking at all this stuff, and everything on this table you've told me something about that makes it unique, and I can't explain to the audience like you can. So I'm hoping that you'll walk through why this might look like something that people say, oh, I've seen 100 of those. No, until you've seen Rockies, you really haven't seen 100 of them.
The thing that hits the market when you're talking to elk hunters out there, especially when they walk up to your booth and you're selling calls, they go, I don't want that big old tube.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, well, man, it makes the best sound there is, and on. And they go, well, I don't care, I want a small tube because I pack back in and all that. Yeah. And they're kind of right in a way. They do get cumbersome, but I always looked at it, if it works and calls an elk in, I'm packing it with a 50-gallon drum, you know. That's how I looked at it. But anyway, this call isn't all that big and it's not that cumbersome, but I went to work trying to build a shorter tube.
Okay.
It's easier to carry.
3 inches shorter?
Yeah, it's 3.5, 4 inches overall, and it's actually a lot lighter than that one. But when I first built the tube, I blew into it and it sounded okay, but it was a little bit on the, not the right volume. It had either blurry volume or it wasn't quite loud enough. And I said, man, how can you build a tube that's smaller and gets the same volume as a big tube?
Right.
Okay. Well, I was in a store one day, it's a kid's toy store, and I was walking down the aisle and here's this box. And I said, what the heck is that? And they were microphones for kids to talk into. Yeah. So I picked it up and I went, hello, and it reverberated right out in the air like, there's no switch on this thing. And it's a karaoke microphone that you can sing into, and the sound reverberates out further. So I bought one and I brought it home. I wanted to see what would make that thing work. And inside is a spring that goes down inside that thing. So when you talk into it, it reverberates the sound out. So I got a spring and I put it inside a mouthpiece like that.
So is this a trade secret? I mean, do you want the world to really know about this?
It's patented.
Oh, it's patented. Okay.
No, we're fine here. And I put that in that mouthpiece and I stuck it down inside that tube. And I actually bought a decimal reader. And I checked it first without it and I checked it with it in it. 25% more volume with that spring in there.
Really?
And I went, well, that's kind of cool. And then on the outside of this, it has a tube tamer on the outside, okay? Yeah. Well, I wanted to do something to make the sound a little deeper too, a little more bass to match the big tube. Yeah. So I got a way to put the tube tamer on the inside. So now when you feel it in there, you put your finger in there, you feel that little lip.
Right.
There's a tube tamer wrapped around the edge of that lip. So now when you blow into it, it goes whoop, hits that and get that bass sound out of it. It kind of stops it around that rubber and it captures it and it goes boom. So I was able to get the shorter tube, get the bass I needed and the volume I needed. And the more I played with that call, I went on my raspy parts, like when you're going, it increased the intensity of that growl just through that spring. You take that spring out and do it, you can tell the difference on it. And then I started playing with all your octave changes and all that. And you kind of got to work at it a little bit to get all those right octave changes. If you put your wrong tongue pressure at the wrong time, it'll get away from you. That spring actually stabilizes the tone changes a lot quicker. So you can actually hear the octave changes and you can feel them slide at the same time. So you're not losing your octave and you're not losing your slides. So they're all combined together, but you can hear them distinctly apart. Yeah. And then I was sitting there going, for the high note, I always wondered why high notes fade on you. You think it's your tongue, you're pushing too hard and that. It just kind of loses this pressure inside there. So this spring actually creates back pressure and vibrates on that high note and intensifies that high note.
So the back pressure is on your
It brings back pressure right out of here onto your diaphragm. So this part vibrates more and this vibrates higher on the high note. And it creates a screaming high note that doesn't get away from you. A whole lot more intensity.
So do
Just
you
that
sit
little
around the office up here doing this, or
You mean-
driving down the road, or where do you? I mean, who would have ever thought of that?
I don't know. It just, when I seen that karaoke microphone sitting in that box, it just clicked. And that's what I say about ingenuity. You know, you work in the woods, you figure out how to make things work.
Yeah.
I looked at that and I go, dang, that might be an idea there.
That's amazing.
So I sent it in and got a patent going on it, and it works really good.
Yeah.
We used it the first year hunting, and literally Lance and I separated 400 yards apart. He got a bull going, and I literally couldn't tell if it was him or the bull.
Really?
That's how clarity and realistic this thing sounded.
Huh.
And then he did the same thing to me a couple days later. He was down at the bottom of the canyon, and I was bugling up there, and he come all the way up thinking it was an elk, and it was me. And he goes, before I could tell it was you and you're using this tube, what the heck?
Yeah.
And I said, well,
Wow.
there's something realistic sounding in this tube going on. And it's been really fun to carry it. Don't get me wrong, I don't think you'll ever beat the sound of a bigger tube totally.
Yeah.
But when it comes to carrying it and out in the woods, it makes enough difference with that spring and that tube tamer inside, you're gonna have a lot of luck with this call.
Yeah.
It's gonna make a
Wow.
lot of good sounds for you.
That's amazing. Jeez.